celebration. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Spiritual Soul Center. Yes, where we are here to create a movement grounded in love and kindness. Look at everybody is looking so good today. We're here to create a movement grounded in love and kindness that transforms us, our community, and the world. That's what we're here to do. So let's take a deep breath together and find ourselves in this moment. To take a deep breath and take our attention to inside. Simply breathe in and breathe out. And to become present in this moment. All that has happened is done. What is yet to be is exactly that, yet to be. But we've chosen to be together here now. And if we focus our attention right here, if we just bring our full selves right into this moment, we can have an experience like no other. To simply be present, to feel the safety of being here, to feel the peace in our soul at this moment. There is nothing we need to do, there is nothing we need to say, there is nowhere else we need to be. To feel the ease and joy in that. And to know that we can have this anytime. When we slow down and breathe, we close our eyes, we feel what it feels like just to be in the body we have right now. For this sweet, sweet gift of this now moment, we are ever grateful, and so it is. Amen.
He's a victim of misfortune, in and out of jail, completely apathetic. He feels that he's no use, crying in his cell while his cellmate's fast asleep. He bends his knees to pray, and his heart begins to sink. Humbled by his actions, he lets it all come out, begging for forgiveness. He even almost shouts, "My name is Sonny Johnson, and I would like to share with anyone who's listening of how I wound up here." Well, it started in September when I had lost my job. The business that I owned failed to grow and stop. And I was just discouraged, knowing what to do. But with my time done, I just drank away the truth. A raging alcoholic, I had come to be. And if I didn't stop, my wife was gonna leave. So I pulled a gun out and I held it to her head. Said the only way she'd leave me was if she left me dead. But the jury found me guilty, and now it's served my time. And as soon as I get out, I'll be going in for illegal drug possession and robbery of friends, random acts of violence and disrespect for men. So why should I worry? Why should I cry when someone's got it harder more than you or I? Life can be abrasive and only God knows why. We just need to press on and never give up, 'cause our treasure's not on earth, oh Lord, no, no. Our treasure lies in love.
You're the storyteller, Jared. All right, this person is here to read the card. You know, we did these cards when we our first Sunday here, and so I'd like to invite Carolyn Faulkner to come down. Carolyn?
Let me get my reading glasses.
All right, I know that. Yeah. So we filled out these cards to say, you know, what do you want Spiritual Soul Center to be in your life and for others? What do you want it to feel? And how will you bless this space? And then it said name optional, but Carolyn put her name here, so I'll invite you down to do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher after all.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to take my mic off and put it to you so that people can
Okay.
hear, all right?
What do you want it to be in your life for others? Spiritual, loving, service to community. How do you want it to feel? Welcoming, loving, like Richard is with us. How will you bless this space? Good energy, positive thoughts, non-judgment. Name optional. I said blessings.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
So thank you. Like Richard was here. How many people know Richard Levy? Yeah, from Unity. Yeah. Does it feel like he's here sometimes? Ah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Now he's just laughing. I hear him laughing. Like he goes, you know that one? Those of you who know Richard. Yeah. All right. So, if you've been coming to Soul Center, you know that I've been speaking from this book I'm reading, The Dharma in Difficult Times by Stephen Cope. And he uses the story in the Bhagavad Gita to frame this these lessons. All right? Deep breath, Megan. Deep breath. Yeah. And this is the fourth week. This is the fourth step. And this is about following your Dharma, following your sacred calling, even when times are tough. Maybe especially when times are tough. Maybe especially when times are tough. And the first step that I talked about a few weeks ago, the first step in actually acting your Dharma is to be still. It's actually a step of inaction. It's actually that step of being still, of going into meditation. And Krishna, in the story with Arjuna and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, says, take refuge in me. Take refuge in Holy Spirit. Take refuge in that in you which is bigger than you. All right? Take refuge in that. That's the first place, because I was thinking of the metaphor. The mind is not clear, like muddy water. Like you can't have clarity with muddy water. You have to wait until all the sediment comes out, so everything sinks away before you can have clarity. And that's kind of what this means. Take refuge in that wisdom that you have inside of you. The second step is to be present to whatever is in your life today. Some of us think, well, what's my Dharma? What's my Dharma? I need to find my Dharma. No, that's muddy water, by the way. That's the muddy water thing. What am I supposed to do? No, is to look at exactly what is in front of your life and finding the place where you can intervene in the sorrows of the world. You hear that? It's like finding the place right there where you can intervene in the sorrows of the world. That's not sometime, someplace, when I have a degree, when I finish this, after the class, when I've done all this work. No, today, like right now. Where can I intervene? Where is the precise place where I can act out my Dharma? The third step was last week, and that is, this is what happens with muddy water. Or old age. One. The third step is to recognize that whatever your Dharma is, it is for the good of all. There is a common good to what we do. And that's what makes it powerful. It's not just for me. It's not so I can start this company and make lots of money. Or, that's not what it is. What it is the place you can intervene in the world's sorrows where you act according to the common good. And that's what makes it, like I said, powerful. That's what makes it powerful. So those are the steps we talked about. And I talked about all dilemmas that we have. All these uncertainties, all these doubts that we have are simply the call of the Spirit, or whatever you call that thing that's bigger than us, to evolve. It's for us to evolve, to understand something we can't understand. It's really not about the thing. It's really about our own selves evolving and understanding something we couldn't have understood unless we have gone through that. Back when we were at UU, I spent a lot of Sundays talking about my knee surgery and how that taught me so much about pain. And golly, if I ever have to have another joint done, which Renee will divorce me, but But if I ever have to have another one done, I will have had this experience. Anyway, it taught me, that pain taught me something I couldn't have known unless I went through that. You've had those experiences, right? You would never say, God, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, or I really didn't want to do that, but now that I've done that, wow, I know something that I couldn't have known. Yeah? So that's what this book is about. Take refuge in me, find that precise place, and recognize it's for the common good. And you'll know because you'll feel that. You'll feel that. So what is the fourth step? This is the fourth and final step. And this fourth step has to do with the mastery of your Dharma. Because Dharma just doesn't happen by happen chance or happenstance. It's not this nonchalant thing or this waiting for the lightning bolt to hit. That's not what Dharma is. Dharma takes some focus. It takes some intention. It takes some effort at mastery. Let me read you on page 170 here. Oh, I have too many tags in here. Which one is it? I think it's this one. No. I want to read this to start off. This is the first step in mastery. There's two aspects of mastery that Krishna talks about to Arjuna. And the first one is this: through one-pointedness, we begin to see into the very heart of the mystery of the craft we are mastering. Like, we just don't do it willy-nilly. It doesn't happen that way. And we begin to enter into a mystical realm of its power. See, that's the big deal. Is with one-pointedness and focus, we begin to realize that it's way beyond us. Okay? Krishna says mastery depends not on our hopes and dreams, but on regular, systematic, and deliberate practice of our craft, so that we can be completely unified in our performance, and so that we can be all there at the very moment of its execution. I mean, that's what it takes to live your Dharma. Like I said, it's not a willy-nilly thing. Not at all. The gift of your Dharma, the reason that you are here, is just the beginning. To recognize that you have that gift, that you're here for this particular purpose, is just the start of it. Then comes the work of mastery. The mastery work has to do with ignoring all the distractions. Because there will be people in your life, as there have been in mine, saying, what in the world do you think you're doing? Like, that's just crazy. Right? But we have to not let that distract us. I like to use pottery as a way of how much one-pointed focus we need. Anybody do pottery? Anybody ever thrown anything on a wheel? On a pottery wheel? Yeah, some of you have. What happens the minute you take your eye off of that glob of clay? It's over there, right? I mean, one-pointed focus. You have to be like right there. And so many times I would be in the studio and I would be right there for like an hour and a half. I would get up, I'd be freaking, I'd be bent over. It's like, right, you have to be right there. And that's the way it is with the mastery of your Dharma. Other things have to fall away. And as much as I love pottery, when I decided to become a licensed Unity teacher, and I had to do all this training, and I had to travel out to Kansas City, and I had to, there were criteria that I needed to meet. I had to stop pottery. Because you know what? There wasn't room for both. There wasn't room for both. This creative endeavor, this effort that I was making, I needed to have that focus on this one thing. I tried to go back to pottery, and I was like, I couldn't do, there wasn't room in myself for both. And so I made a conscious decision at that time. I haven't even been back to pottery since then. I want to go someday, because I love it, but there was a choice I had to make, just like the choices that you've made. You had to let something go, even something you love to do, or someone you love, period. To let that person go, to let that thing go, so you can have this one-pointed focus to master your Dharma. That's what it's about. Not because it's easy, because some of this stuff is decidedly not easy at all. And some of the stories in this book, if you decide to read this book, I'll tell you what, some of these stories are incredibly difficult. So that's the first step in mastery, to have that one-pointed focus. And really what it means is ultimately you have to surrender. You have to surrender. You have to get out of your own way as well. What's the next thing I wanted to tell you? Here's the other thing. Here's the second step in mastery. And this is difficult to even hear, I think. And that is, you have to release the attachment you have that there will be a particular outcome. With all your intense focus, with all of your soul and body and energy being put to this thing, you have to release your attachment that it will result in exactly what you want it to be. You're like, why? Why can't I expect that? Well, you can expect it, but to release attachment to it is necessary. Otherwise, you're grasping, and if you are grasping, you are resisting, and the flow is not there. The flow is not there. It's one of the hardest things I think there is to say, you know what? What we have to do is to be 100% satisfied with the doing of our Dharma, because we know from steps 1, 2, and 3 that this is mine to do. And it doesn't matter what it looks like out here. Doesn't matter. The satisfaction comes from the act of your Dharma. You hearing that? And what happens is this. Krishna taught Arjuna this. He says that your own consciousness in that moment then has the power to change the field around you. Because it doesn't matter. You've released it all, you've surrendered it all, and the fact that you are flowing with that thing, that Dharma thing, that precise spot for the common good, to intervene in the world's sorrows, is right there. And that, my friends, is what the power is of Dharma. That is the power of Dharma. To move out of the smallness and into the bigness of that. You know, it reminded me of this poem from Mary Oliver. I love Mary Oliver. Some of you may know Mary Oliver. This is called The Summer Day. Listen to this. This is what it reminded me of. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? The grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, and who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. And now she lifts her pale forearm slowly and thoroughly washes her face. And now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day long. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, are you hearing that? What is it you plan to do with this one wild and precious life? Dharma, my friends, whatever that is. I think about that grasshopper spitting that brown stuff in there. What a wonderful poem, right? Incredible, Mary Oliver. She just died a few years ago. Incredible, incredible. So, there is no worthless life. There is no life without Dharma. You're here, you're alive, there's a place for you to intervene in the world's sorrows for the common good. There is that. So I want to share a story in here that just has had my consciousness since I read it. Especially since it was someone I knew nothing about. I didn't know the name. Jonathan Daniels. Do you know the name Jonathan Daniels, anybody? Yeah, I didn't know either this name. This young man was in the early 60s at the Episcopal Theological School in the Northeast, and he was studying to be a minister. He knew that's what he wanted to do, okay? And he was studying that. This was the time when the march was going to happen. They were all gathered around the TV because the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge from Selma to Montgomery was happening. Okay, back in the early 60s. Was it 1963? I forget the exact year it was. And on that TV, he and his comrades, he and his schoolmates watched as the march barely got underway, and these men and women were beat, mercilessly beat to the ground, assaulted, and it was all right there on TV. He couldn't believe it. He really had an Arjuna moment. He was like, what are we supposed to do? Like here we are up in New Hampshire studying for, to be a minister. And here this is happening in our country right there. Like, what am I to do? What are we to do? What are we to do? And he was talking to his friends, and he finally said this. He said, I must go. He told his close friend, Judy Upman. He said, I can't live with myself if I don't. See, that's a good indicator of Dharma. Like, I can't not do this. Like, I have to do this. And sure enough, he and some of his friends took a leave of absence from their studies and went to Alabama. And he lived with a black family there. He got to know them. He was a natural advocate. He did all sorts of work in fighting and addressing, in addressing civil rights in the South. He ends up in a place called Fort Deposit. Something else new. Fort Deposit, Alabama. And this is what it was like. Here's a description of what it was like to be black in Fort Deposit. He says, blacks still couldn't shake hands with whites or eat with them in southern restaurants. This is 1960s, by the way. If they rode in the same cars, blacks had to be in the back seat. And they could never question the character of a white person, even if that person was lying. If they did, they'd be fired from their jobs, or worse, they'd be beaten, jailed, or killed. In 1965, only 2% of Selma area's black majority was registered to vote. That's it. That's what it was like. That's what it's like. And Jonathan, this self-described clean-cut white kid from the Northeast, is down there doing his work. Some were so amazed. The black people that he worked with, the brown-skinned people he worked with, thought it was amazing. So in Fort Deposit, he organizes a picket of 3 local stores that discriminated against that population. And they were all young people. And so there were 3 groups. One group was going to go to one store, one was going to go to another, one was going to go to another. And they were kind of scared. But he was one-pointed. I mean, he was living his Dharma. He knew that's where he should be. He said, this, right here. I'll be right with you. So they take their signs and they go in front of these 3 different stores, and they barely make a lap around in a circle, and they're arrested. All of them are arrested for gathering without a permit or some obsequious reason. And they don't just cart them off to jail in the back of a police truck or a police car. They get a garbage truck, and they haul all these young people in a garbage truck to the jail. And all the way they're singing freedom songs, because Jonathan is leading them in freedom songs as they sit in the back of this filthy, stinking garbage truck. Well, guess what? The jail was no better. It was filthy. It was stinking. They were crowded into cells. There was hardly any water. There was no working plumbing. The food they got was barely edible. They were there for 6 days. 6 days. 6 days in the jail. No phone call. No, hey, can I call my parents? No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. And they're starting to question Jonathan as they're there. They're like, why didn't we fight? Why didn't we stand up for ourselves? Like, what's that about? And he said, I am convinced that in the long run, the strategy of love is the only one that will bring real health and reconciliation into this mess. He says, satisfaction lies, he's telling these kids that have been with him, he said, satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. Full effort is full victory. Can you imagine? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. He's praying every night. 4 days. They're singing, "We will overcome," every day. 3 floors in the jail. Everyone in the jail. is singing. The whole town feels that vibration from that singing, "We will overcome," in the jail. Until finally on the 6th day, they come and open the doors and let them out. Well, they are a fine mess. They haven't barely eaten. They're all dehydrated. No one's there to pick them up, by the way. No one ran, unbeknownst to anybody that they were even getting out of jail. So about a block from the jail, there's a cash store, a little convenience store, let's say. So Jonathan goes over there with Ruby Sales. Maybe you've heard of Ruby Sales. And they go into the store, they're hoping to get something to drink, right? Well, the owner of the store blows his mind. I mean, just like, "What are you doing in here? Get out of my store. We're not open. We just stopped to get a drink." Pulls up his shotgun like this. Ruby is the first one in line. Jonathan pushes her down, shotgun right to the chest. And Jonathan is dead right there. The man chases a priest that was also part of the group, shoots him in the back, dead. The curious thing is that so much of this got in the news cycle. The news cycle then was not what the news cycle is now. But that caught fire in the news cycle. And it also caught fire because this man was charged with the crime and he was declared not guilty. I mean, so the whole event had an energy to it from that point on that could not be denied. And in that same year, I forget the percent, a large percentage of the black population in Fort Deposit was registered to vote. And the next time there was a sheriff in that town, it was someone who was dark-skinned. So, I think about Jonathan and his sacrifice, his following of his Dharma, resulted in a power way beyond what he could have done had he not been in that position at that time and been willing to live no matter what. I mean, that's the power of it. Incredible story, right? I'm not asking us to go out and get shot. No. But incredibly, all I'm asking us is to be brave enough, to be willing enough, to be humble enough to follow our own Dharma, regardless of what anybody else thinks. He didn't take the easy path. The easy path was going back up north and getting his degree and being a minister. But his calling was right there. His calling was right there. I can't believe I didn't know this name. Yeah, I already talked about that. So the fruits of his sacrifice happened after he was gone. And that happens to a lot of people and stories. And maybe it's happening to me and you too. Maybe everything you do, you're like, nobody notices, nobody notices. It doesn't matter if anybody notices. Are you following your Dharma? Are you living that? That's what matters. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It does not matter. This proves it to me. This proves it to me in a big way. Jonathan Daniels, I won't forget his name again. I won't forget his name again. Let me close with this reminder. And I'm going to talk about what happens to Arjuna next week. Because I bet you're all wondering, like, did Arjuna fight or did he not fight? Remember, those of you who've been around, it's like, all right, well, Arjuna was with Krishna and he was supposed to fight, but did he fight or did he not fight? Stay tuned for that. When we enact our Dharma, our sacred calling, with every ounce of soul force we have, the result leads to a transformation of the field around us. That's what happens. It transforms the field, not because of us, because here's the real truth. Here's the real truth that Krishna tells Arjuna. He says, you must always remember to surrender to me, to have me in your mind, to have me in your heart. This will keep you safe. When you surrender fully to me, then you know that you are not the doer. You're not even the doer. I'm not the doer. We're not the ones doing anything. We are simply here to be the channel. That's it. It takes work. It takes effort. In this way, he says, you simply become a channel for the divine mind. That's it. Thank you, Jonathan Daniels. A huge moment in civil rights. Incredible power that he had from simply living one moment to the next. So let's take time for meditation now. Let's let this story, this wisdom settle on our hearts. Let's take the first step and simply be still. To allow whatever it is, the greatest power in the world that lives in me, that guides me, that supports me, to surrender to that for a few moments together. To realize that it is possible. That I do not need to measure myself to anything outside myself. Simply to be who and what I'm here to be. To offer myself in this one moment now. Simply breathing in and breathing out. I don't know exactly what prayer is. I do know how to pay attention. How to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Amen.
Been traveling these wide roads for so long, and my heart's been far from you. 10,000 miles gone. Oh, I wanna come here and give every part of me, but there's blood on my hands, and my lips are unclean. In my darkness I remember Mama's words reoccur to me. Surrender to the good Lord, and He'll wipe your
together, yes? May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. And so it is. Till next time. Amen.